Hey YouTube, a few days ago I participated in the Eggman Zulu online tournament. There were 64 players and I ended in 17th place with Kid. I did lose the first round, so my tie breaks weren't amazing. There were 9 other players in front of me that had the same record. We finished 4-2 with the deck. We only lost to 1 Zoro and 1 Katakuri. I just wanted to test out this deck. I haven't played Kid since set 1, and I was excited to see how it would perform. Okay, let's start the deck profile. So first I want to start off with the film package. I play 4 of all the main film cards with the exception of Robin, the 5-cost Jinbei, and the 2-cost Jinbei. The 2-cost cards are just not strong enough stat line wise to be worth playing. And then the 5-cost you can't play with the Luffy because Luffy only plays a 4 or less, so I didn't think it was worth playing as well. Overall, I was pretty happy with this selection of film cards. Nami almost never whiffed, so I was pretty happy with that. And then the only card I would consider bumping is, changing is Bartholomew. I only saw him one game, and it was good in that game because it did help with the Luffy. But it was hard to say if I had seen more of him if I would have been excited to have that many copies. In that game, just the one copy was enough because usually your board is filled and you don't have that much room for additional characters. So having a Bartholomew early game when you maybe just have like a Brook or an Usopp, I'm not sure if that's worth playing onto the board. But overall, I was pretty happy with the selection. I would only consider Bartholomew maybe a 2 of. I don't know if I would ever play 3 of him. Next is our Supernova package. So these are our Supernovas with the exception of some events, which I'm going to show off later. Bonnie being one of the best searches in the game, it essentially always works as a blocker. There were times where I played against Katakuri and they would swing 7 into the Bonnie just to be able to clear it because it just kept giving me an additional plus every turn. The blockers in this deck were very important because they help you keep board, and Killer is just an amazing card, being able to replace itself. I only played 3 Beige for space restrictions, but I would want to consider playing a 4th copy. And then for the Apu, just being a searchable 2K was worth playing. I only played 8 2Ks in this deck, but they were all searchable. I would want to bump it up to 12, just because I saw sometimes that the lack of combo power was something that came up, but overall, I would have to consider what I would take out. Next are our events. I played 6 events, 4 Pump Gibson, searchable by Bonnie, and 2 Paradise Waterfall. I played the Pump Gibsons just because it's a great card in life, and also it can stop 2 attacks. And then I played the Paradise Waterfall to help protect some of our board. So usually that would be Nami, or if you have the Luffy, you can swing with Luffy and then restand it as a blocker. Overall, I was pretty happy with these events. Punk Gibson won me a few games just because when your opponent already has 2 3-drops, it's guaranteed to stop an attack. So there were boards where I just added up on Gibson and knew that I couldn't lose next turn. And then finally, for Krieg, this was the MVP of the deck. Being able to play this when you have 6 Dawn was such a huge tempo push. You would typically already have an Usopp and a Brook on board that you played on 4, or maybe just a Nami. And then sometimes they would just swing into your board and then you would combo out, and then you would just play Krieg, and then you would have 3 cards that would attack life for 5. And then it having such a strong stat line, as well as the double attack, put you in a situation where if the double attack went through, then you were almost guaranteed to win the game. Because right now with the meta, there isn't that many blockers to be wary of. So once you get your opponent down to about 1 or 2 life, Kid being able to swing 12 every turn is such a big threat. But this card performed amazing. I don't think there was any game where I resolved this on 6 Dawn and KO'd 2 characters and lost the game. Overall, I would give this deck a try. It was very much a sleeper deck. I thought that it performed way better than my expectations for it, and I had fun playing it, just knowing that if I got my opponent down to 1 life, I would just win the game because I would just swing 12 twice from now on. And the film package was just so strong, just always having board. There was only one game, which was unfortunately the last round, where I was going 4-1 into Zoro, and I bricked. I just opened too many high cost cards. But besides that game, I always had board. Just always having 3 characters on board with 5 to 6k, and then just having to defend that board, and then having a Nami that searches you every single turn. You just had a lot of resources, and I really enjoyed that about the deck. So overall, I was happy with how the deck performed. However, the deck did have a few weaknesses. If you don't have that initial aggression, initial board, you will lose the game. It's very hard to interact with board. You don't really play resters in this version of the deck. Also, a lot of your cards don't have effects. So a lot of them are just play an additional character or maybe a search, but there's not that many cards in your deck that actually affect your opponent or are 2-for-1s or give you value in the sense of being a threat. The deck played it it just felt very fair, with the exception of searching every turn. That was very strong, but besides that, the deck just felt very fair. So there were times where I was playing the Karakuri matchup I lost. When they just dropped 10 drop, after 10 drop, I just couldn't do anything. There wasn't any swing cards in my deck that would be able to play past that, besides my leader. So that was the only issue, just the lack of impactful cards, because the engine for the film package is so strong, and then you have to play like 2Ks and blockers, that it doesn't give you much room to play other cards. And thank you for watching. If you stayed this long to watch the video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Take care. Bye.